hopes of discrimination and oppression, and more so the economic disparities that many of you are experiencing. The peaceful and powerful youth led uprisings globally, and I must say, more particularly in the Arab world, that it was the young people that led the Arab Spring. Young people were brought back onto the world stage as a serious political interlocutors and actors with the right and capacities to be equally included in politics. Most African countries are grappling with a demographic youth bulge. The median age of Africans is 19 years, compared with 42 years for Europeans, and the youth currently comprise 70% of Africa's population. It means that out of the whole demographic of the whole world, the young people on the African continent are the youngest globally. You are younger than people in Asia, younger than people in the Americas, younger than people in the North America, Indochina, Russia, Australia, and all the continents of the world. And we are grappling with a very important issue. What is it that we will do with these youth bulges? In fact, it is these youth bulges that should catapult and bring socio-economic prosperity to billions of Africans on this continent, because you have the human resource, you have the energy, you have the capacity that needs to transcend and change the world into better human beings, because Africa has the potential of young people. But what are we doing with these youth bulges? And that is a matter that I want you to articulate at this very important auspicious occasion. As such, young people are rightfully considered to be critical agents for change. Since the Arab Spring, many young people in different countries in Africa have demonstrated against political dictatorships, the extension of presidential term limits, the lack of transparency during elections, and unpopular socio-economic policies. In many of these protests, youth movements have managed to gain considerable success in removing political leaders and affecting policy change. Youth movements and young people generally have been leading demonstrations across Africa against dictatorship in countries such as Tunisia, Egypt, Burkina Faso, Senegal, and recently in Sudan. These movements mark the end of long-term dictatorships of presidents like Zain El Abidine Ben Ali of Tunisia, Mohamed Hosni El Sayed Mubarak, Blaise Compaoré, Abdullah Wade, and Bashir, respectively. We further have observed how the youth took a center stage and changed the outcome of the elections in both Malawi and in Zambia very recently. And I must say, I've just returned from Malawi and Zambia very recently, congratulating those leaders. And what the advice that we are getting from these countries is that let's mobilize the young to be able to bring change to our lives. So the power lies within you to change Namibia. The power lies within you to change the course of history. And usher in a new administration. Today, upon the election of the new leadership of the PDM Youth League, we ought to ensure that we attract and mobilize young people as effective instrument of change. The PDM Youth League must become an effective, attractive body through which young people in this country not only feel heard, but can bring about social change and electoral change at the polls, as the youth did in Zambia and in Malawi. And I must hasten to say that I'm one of those leaders that has a record of building young leaders in this organization. As I'm speaking, the chairperson, the mayor of Beersheba, is a former leader of he's a current leader of the Youth League. The spokesperson in the office of the leader of the official opposition, a young man, 22 years of age, Roberto Derse. Ina Hengari, the youngest member of parliament, taken by the president. Winnie Mongo. I can give you a plethora of examples on how the party is working day and night, every day to promote young people, not only to be at the periphery of politics, but to become at the center of politics. The growing upsurge of youth participation crystallized in the word enough, or the testament nothing for us without us, must be understood in the context of this generation's struggles for political, social, and economic emancipation. Young people in Africa are the most affected by unemployment and underemployment, and they are struggling to survive. They are poor, They are downtrodden and are stuck in a period of waithood. We are waiting for our future. No longer can we claim that the youth is the future, the generation of the future. The youth are waiting for a future. Many of them are going to education halls and go and assume a critical role in society, being educated people. As we always argue that the youth education is the greatest equalizer. Many of our young people in our country have went ahead and equalized that equalization. But getting that equalization translates in joblessness in this country, in underdevelopment, in unemployment in this country. And that is the challenge of the Youth League, to underscore and address the impediments that keeps young people away from a struggle of going forward. As we are speaking, young people are in a waithood period, defined by Honwana as a prolonged period of suspension in which people's access to social adulthood is delayed or denied. Our young people's lives are delayed as we are speaking in Namibia. Whatever their class or background, many youth cannot afford to form families and households and are unable to become fully independent and partake in the privileges and responsibilities of adult life. Apart from material deprivation, waithood is also marked by political marginalization, a lack of voice, and a loss of dignity. One thing that I shall always fight for is for the Youth League, for the young in the movement, to always have a critical voice, so that you are not only tolerated, but that you are also accepted as core leaders that are taking our movement going forward. Young people have attempted to escape this trap through other strategies, such as venturing into the informal economy, or even migrating in other countries. I have recently been the chairperson of Africa on Migration, Trade, Customs on behalf of the Pan-African Parliament. And I'm seeing how many young Africans are dying in the Mediterranean Sea, urging and seeking for a better life elsewhere across other continents. It shows a lack of seriousness of the African leadership, a lack of focus and a paralysis of thinking from the African leaders, that they are not doing enough to put the lives of our young people from a waithood period into a livelihood period where they can be able to transcend and change the socio-economic trajectory of our society. The informal economy, or even Namibia, with one of the youngest populations in Africa, is reaching a staggering 50% of young people in this country are unemployed. How can you run a country, a civilization, where your youngest don't have opportunities? Namibia is a society of waithood. Young people are only waiting for a tomorrow. They have no tomorrow. As I am addressing rallies across the country, in the middle of the week, young people are there, living from social grants of their elders. There are no opportunities in this country. And then the government has it on good authority to allow Chinese foreign nationals to come and become manual laborers in Namibia, painters at our ports, doing manual work in Namibia, while the rest of Namibians do not have job opportunities. How do you explain a person from Musati who has gone to a vocational training center, who knows how to paint, if he can get an opportunity in China to become a painter in China, the Chinese would call him mad. But who allows Chinese manual laborers to come and take over our jobs while our own do not have jobs in this country? And then you have a whole president who is so arrogant, saying that apparently youth unemployment and the word that he said, government is not God. Create your own employment. That's arrogant from a leader. The job of a government, the job of a leader, is to create a conducive socio-economic environment for job creation. And that's the job of government. So government will always be God if they do not create those opportunities. We would always knock at their doors and say, where is the conducive economic environment for job creation in this country? How can we talk about job creation if there are no inherent policies that speaks of value addition?
if we don't have policies that speaks of access to capital by young people. Every now and then that young people want to start SMEs, they are told that they must have security. For years, they must have securities. They must show security for them to be able to access. We have been talking about youth venture capital. Who are the beneficiaries of SMEs in this country? If you are not politically lined up to a family that is powerful, if you are not a son of a minister, a daughter of a president, a nephew of a director, you don't have a business opportunity in this country. So we need to debunk the theory of saying people must create their own jobs. Government must do more to create a socio-economic conducive environment for job creation to take root in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, therefore it remains
a slap in the face when the head of state says the following, that government is not God. The joblessness of over half of our young men and women in this country is not their individual faults. The PDM Youth League must lead the charge to show the presidency, the power of his supposed minority. The presidency, I'm talking about the office now, has the audacity to say, those young people that are claiming that the president is arrogant when he says he is not going to create your own jobs, we are a minority. How can 50% of unemployed young people in this country becomes a minority? And it is your job to prove to the president. It is your job to prove to the president that you are not a minority, but you are a majority in suffering, and therefore you want to bring change in the lives of your children and going forward. Fellow Democrats, we ought to foster a spirit of togetherness and purpose of unity, to bring forth a battalion of young Democrats that fight for a better egalitarian society. Renowned American philosopher John Rawls spoke of these ideas, that there is an idea about good and bad reasons for social stability, show why a purpose of unity is worth fighting for. And I want to draw your attention, delegates and Democrats, to the word of John Rawls. He says it is possible to distinguish between expedient unity, unity for the wrong reasons, and principled unity, unity for the right reasons. Expedient unity is the answer to the question, what kind of cooperation from others would benefit me? Principled unity is the answer to the question, what kind of cooperation would be fair to everyone? And this is very cardinal to your Congress. That as you are moving forward, you must distinguish and ask yourself, the unity that we are forging, is it a unity for me to benefit or one person to benefit from it? Or is it a unity for the movement to become a fair movement that works for the interest of everyone? A society is a cooperative venture, and insofar as it involves the large-scale exchange of skills, labor, services, and goods, subject to laws and regulations. Unity for the wrong reasons reduces social cooperation to whatever happens to benefit a particular person or group. We have heard the ruling party talking about unity of action, but we have seen that their unity is unity of corruption, unity of looting, unity of taking opportunities away from us. What is the kind of unity that we want to forge and that we ought to forge in a young Democrat battalion such as ours as the Youth League? What is that unity? Is it a unity for one person to benefit, or two people to benefit, or the careers of two people to benefit, or a unity of a Youth League that would transcend and speak to all the young people of this country and their society? Under these circumstances, political and social relationships become a zero-sum game in which one group profits at the expense of others. Society is divided into winners and losers, with the latter paying the price for the benefits accruing to the former. When we expect others to sacrifice their own interests in service of ours, we treat them as things, mere tools, and not as persons. Let's not treat each other as mere tools. Because I want to become something, I'm using all the delegates as tools to achieve my agenda. It must be about changing the lives of many of us, making sure, fighting for each other, and holding each other. When members of society believe that No one benefits unfairly from participating in the economy or upholding the law. They have a good reasons to keep on cooperating with one another. Fairness is not measured only in terms of the size of each one's share, but also in terms of the rules of cooperation itself. Therefore, through the adoption of a principal unity of purpose, the PDM Youth League can truly pursue a better egalitarian society.